That saw is not scrap. It looks scrap. Orange from the handle to the toe, teeth buried under rust in a toolbox somebody left you, and you've already decided it's done. Here's the part nobody tells you. Under that rust is hardened, tempered spring steel. Rust is only a skin. The steel underneath hasn't changed, but grind on it, or leave it soaking overnight, and that temper can leave in about 10 seconds. So before you drive to the hardware store for a $40 panel saw, or clamp a wire wheel onto an angle grinder thinking that's faster, stop. What you're holding is worth more than either one of those. I'm Artie Sterling, 30 years teaching shop class, 10 years before that as a finished carpenter, and I've brought back saws older than I am. Here's what's actually going on in that steel, because the fix only makes sense once you see it. A saw plate is thin, a few hundredths of an inch, and it's spring steel, hardened at the mill and then tempered back down on purpose, so it holds an edge without snapping. That temper is set by heat, and heat is exactly what a wire wheel or a grinding wheel puts back in the moment it touches. No smoke, no smell. You won't see it happen, but that faint blue-purple shimmer you sometimes notice where somebody's ground on an old blade is the temper leaving the steel, and once it's gone, that spot is soft for good, won't hold an edge, won't hold a set, and there's no putting it back. There's a second thing, grinding and heavy sanding ruin, that nobody thinks about, the etch. Most old saw plates carry the maker's mark, acid etched at the factory, sitting only a few 10,000ths of an inch deep, thinner than a coat of paint. Sand across it hard enough to strip the rust, and you sand through 80 years of provenance in about a minute. That mark is a good part of what makes an old saw worth more than scrap steel. So you work around it, never through it. So here's the job, and it goes slower than a cast iron pan, on purpose. First, take the handle off. Old saws use either a split nut, two halves that turn against each other with a small saw nut driver, or plain slotted screws. Use a screwdriver that actually fits the slot, or you'll chew it out and hand yourself a second repair before you've started the first. Second, do not put the whole saw in a bucket of anything. The handle is wood, and a soak swells it and can split it along the grain. If there's a brass back on the spine, vinegar stains that too. With the handle off, you're only ever treating bare steel. If the rust is heavy, real scale, not just surface orange, give the plate itself a short soak in white vinegar or citric acid dissolved in water. Check it every 10 or 15 minutes, not every hour like you would a skillet. Thin steel takes acid faster than a thick pan does. The second the rust goes soft, pull it, rinse it with a little baking soda stirred into the water to kill the acid dead, and dry it immediately. Bare steel left wet will flash rust inside the hour, so oil goes on the same minute it's dry. For most saws, though, you won't need the soak at all. Lay the plate flat on a hard surface, a piece of plywood or an old cutting board, and work it with a sanding block and wet and dry paper, starting coarse and stepping down through the finer grits, with a few drops of light oil or WD-40 to keep the paper cutting instead of clogging. A card scraper held flat does the same job, and it's the gentlest tool in the shop for this. The rule that matters more than the grit: flat, and along the length of the plate, the direction the saw travels through wood. Never across it, never freehand, never in circles. Working across the plate leaves scratches that show in every cut afterward, and it's the fastest way there is to sand straight through that etch. Once the steel is bright, wipe it down and put a coat of paste wax on the plate, or a light machine oil if that's what you've got on the shelf. Wax does two jobs. It keeps new rust off, and it cuts the friction in the kerf, the little groove the blade rides in, so the saw actually cuts easier than it did with the rust still on it. Handle back on, nuts snugged down even, and you're finished. One thing I want to be honest about, because I'd rather you hear it from me. Getting the rust off is not the same job as sharpening. Filing the teeth and setting them, angling them out just enough to clear the plate in the cut, is its own skill and deserves its own time, not 5 minutes tacked onto this one. But a clean, rust-free saw that's gone a little dull will still cut, slower, and it'll wander a touch, but it cuts. A rusted one won't cut at all. It just drags and eats your arm. Getting the rust off is most of the win, right there. And once you understand that the real danger was never the rust, it's what heat and grinding do to hardened steel, you start noticing this same job everywhere in the shop. A rusted chisel that's been sitting since your grandfather's toolbox. A plane iron. Same steel, same temper, same rule about staying off the grinder. An old marking gauge with a little steel pin in it. Even the blades on a good pair of tin snips. Every one of them is hardened steel, carrying an edge that took years to earn. And every one gets the same treatment. Take it apart if it comes apart. Work it flat by hand, and never let it get warm. Let me tell you about a boy in one of my classes. He came in 1 week with his grandfather's rip saw, a beautiful old thing, apple handle worn smooth, and it was orange enough that at first glance you'd have called it firewood. He'd already had a go at it himself the weekend before, borrowed a neighbor's angle grinder with a wire wheel on it, because that's what you reach for when nobody's told you otherwise. He'd worked over about 2 inches of the plate near the toe before his father made him stop and bring it in to me. Those 2 inches were gone, a faint blue-purple shimmer right where the wheel had touched, like a little rainbow burned into the steel. There wasn't any bringing that back. But the rest of the plate, near 20 inches of it, was untouched. We took the handle off, worked the good steel flat by hand over 2 class periods, oiled it, and put it back together. That saw cuts straight and true today, everywhere except those 2 inches near the toe, which will always be a shade soft and prone to catching. He kept it anyway, said it reminded him to ask first, next time, before he ground on anything that mattered. So why does nobody tell you this? I don't think anybody's hiding it. There's a rack of grinder wheels at every hardware store, and a shelf of restore any blade kits next to it, because a wheel and a kit are things you can put a price on and sell. Take the handle off, work it flat by hand, and don't let it get warm. Isn't a product. There's no box for that, so nobody pays to put it in front of you. A whole generation of us learned it standing next to somebody at a bench, watching them do it slow, and once that stopped happening, it just quietly stopped getting said. Nobody buried it. There was just never a dime in the saying of it. Now, the honest limits, because I'd rather you hear them from me than find out the hard way. If the plate has a real kink in it, a visible bend or ripple you see when you sight down the edge, that's work for somebody who does saw restoration for a living, not a Saturday afternoon. If the rust has actually pitted the tooth line, little craters right where the teeth are, cleaning the plate won't save them. That saw needs retoothing, its own specialist job, and if the plate is cracked, set it down. A cracked plate cannot be brought back, and using one anyway is asking for that crack to run the rest of the way mid-cut. A few safety notes, because I'd be a poor shop teacher if I left them out. Handle the plate by the spine, or through a rag, not along the tooth line. Even a dull, rusty saw will open your hand up. Wear eye protection while scraping or sanding. Steel dust and old rust flakes have no business in your eyes. And here's the one people never expect. If you're using oily rags in this job, Lay them out flat on a bench or a driveway to dry, never balled up in a bucket. A pile of oily rags generates its own heat as it dries and can genuinely catch fire on its own in a closed garage overnight. I've seen the scorch mark it leaves. Spread them out. That's the whole job. No $40 saw, no angle grinder anywhere near it. Handle off, plate flat, oil, wax, handle back on. Go look through that inherited toolbox or the back corner of the garage this weekend for the saw you'd already given up on. Then come down to the comments and tell me what's an old trick your father or your grandfather taught you that you still use today. I read every one of them, and they're getting to be the best part of my week. Keep it simple, keep it cheap, and do it right the first time. The folks who built the furniture in this country knew that, and we're going to remember it together.